Hello and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Roland and I want to present you some new functionalities, some new features regarding a volume which we recently added to NanoTrader. This presentation will be in English, but if you have any questions regarding these indicators, you can also contact my colleagues Evelyn and Alexandra in Dutch, and they are happy to help out. Before we start, just quickly the mandatory risk disclaimer, which you can quickly read, and then we will start with the presentation and we will directly go into the NanoTrader and the charts. So the main topic today is the volume profile. A lot of people might know this very common indicator, especially when it comes to futures trading, and we will directly look up the indicator in NanoTrader and how you can use them and which features we recently added. So I will turn off my camera so you can fully see my screen. So if you have any questions, you can also use the chat window, and I'm happy to help out with some questions. So what we can see here is a chart showing two volume profiles. We have the green volume profile aligned to the left and the blue volume profile aligned to the right. The green volume profile shows the volume profile of the current week. The blue volume profile is a daily volume profile. So with the new functionalities, you can easily combine more than one volume profile because we have the new function alignment shown in the designer bar. Before the recent update, it was only possible to align the volume profiles by default to the left, but you can see already if you use more than one volume profile, they are overlaid, so it's not so convenient. So now it's quite easy to align more than one volume profile, one to the left, one to the right, and see all the valuable information on one chart. Otherwise, you could also use more than one chart, one with the weekly volume profile, one with the daily profile, or whatever you want to use. But I think it's more convenient to align the volume profile to the left or like to the right, like you want, and so you can also use more than one volume profile. It's not only the volume profile. This functionality was also added to the market profile, which you can find under the name time price opportunities. I think I also have a chart open here. So a lot of people also know the market profile, which shows how much time the market traded at a certain price level, while the volume profile shows the volume transacted at a certain price level. So you can use the same functionalities also in the time price opportunities. So let's go back to the first chart. And besides the alignment, there is another parameter which was recently added, and it's called the profile width. So now you can quite easily make the profile narrower or wider like you want. It's just this parameter, and you can enter whatever number between 0 and 100 you like to use, and to make the profiles bigger or smaller. So these are the two main features regarding the visualization of the volume profile, the alignment, and the profile width. Then there is another feature which was added, and you can only use it if you have subscribed to the CQG history. If you use the extended historical data from VWD, they have not this information included, so you need the CQG historical data, and then you can not only visualize the volume profile in the chart itself, but you can also use the volume profile directly in the order book, so in the so-called speed trader, and it's this button, the third one from the right, where you can activate or deactivate directly this new function here in the speed trader itself. And you see also directly how many contracts were transacted at a certain price level, so you can go a bit more detailed into the transacted volume than in the volume profile itself on the chart. And the time frame, the horizon, which is always shown here in the speed trader volume profile, is the volume transacted during the current session. So since start of day, you can see directly the transacted volume. Then there is another feature which you can use, and I will just have a quick look. We can also use it on the main chart here, and it's so-called show previous value area. So in the volume profile itself, you have the value area, you have the point of control, which is here, for example, the blue line, which shows the most traded volume of a certain time frame, and it is, for example, the green one is the volume profile per week, and the blue one is the volume profile per day. So the thicker blue line is the so-called volume point of control, where you see the most traded volume, and then you can decide which percentage around this point of control shows the so-called value area. Usually by default it's 70%. So the darker green area shows the value area of the certain week, and the darker blue color shows the value area of a certain day. And if you enable the previous value area, which I will do in a second, you can see that the value area of the previous day is visualized into the current day, and also the point of control of the previous day is shown here in the current day. And yeah, it can also be used as a support and resistance levels. So if you see now here in the Globex session of the mini S&P 500, you see that we started the new day outside of the previous day's value area. Now currently we are transacting inside the value area of yesterday, and perhaps we might be able to revisit to the point of control from yesterday. So most of the volume yesterday was transacted here at around 5,204, and maybe this is a valuable support line for today, and we might be able to revisit this price level. So you can easily turn on or turn off the value area of the previous day, the previous week, or whatever time frame you choose. And yeah, besides this, you can also choose different colors, and I will also quickly show you how you can change the visualization settings. So you just right click on the volume profile itself in the designer bar or in the charts itself. With a right click, you can access the visualization settings, and there you have all the different parameters, and you can choose different colors, for example, for the inside or outside area of the volume profile. You can just quickly choose another color, whichever you want, and then it's automatically adapted to the chart. So I see already a question where can I find the volume profile, and I can quickly show you on our website. So the volume profile itself and also the time price opportunities, they are add-ons which you can buy in our so-called trading store. You can go to our main websites, wh-selfinvest.com or .nl. You go to the trading store, and there you can just quickly search for volume, and there you find also the volume profile. So it comes at a one-time fee of 55 euro plus VAT, and the market profile is here shown next, which is the so-called time price opportunities, which comes for the same price. And if you have bought the volume profile in our store, after a restart, you can find this indicator here in the main indicator dialog. So you click to add sentiment mentor. You just quickly type a volume or volume profile, and then you can add the volume profile to the main chart, to the master chart, or also to a sub window if you like. A lot of people might only know the standard vertical volume, which shows how many contracts are transacted in a certain candle, but the volume profile has a lot of advantages. So the volume profile is more or less horizontal histogram in comparison to the vertical histogram of the normal volume indicator, and it's overlaid mainly to the master chart, to the main chart itself. And yeah, the volume profile can quickly help you to see a graphical representation where most of the volume has transacted for the day or for the week or for whatever time frame you might choose, and it easily highlights the volume peaks, so the volume point of control, the peaks, and also the mean value, the mean value areas, which can also be used as support and resistance lines. And there are a lot of different ways how you can interpret the volume profile. So the value area itself is one of the main components, in addition to the volume point of control. And yeah, quite often the value area or the volume point of control of a previous session is tested afterwards. For example, if we take this particular day, you see the market opened outside the previous day's value area. It came back, tested the point of control of the previous day more or less to the tick, and then you saw at least a reaction of yeah, let's say around 30-35 points in a mini S&P. Afterwards the market dropped, but especially for short-term trading, for day trading, the volume profile can help to get some very important support and resistance levels. And yeah, people or traders quite often look at the shape of the volume profile. If you have a B-shaped profile or a P-shaped profile, at a B-shaped profile, like you saw already here on last Friday, most of the volume was transacted in the lower area of the day's range. Then quite often here, for example, on the 31st of July, you saw a P-shaped profile where a lot of the volume transactions took place in the top range of this particular day, and it can also help you to interpret more or less if the buyers or sellers are in control. And then you can not only use the volume profile by itself. What I personally like to do is to combine the volume profile with another important volume-based indicator, and it's the so-called VWAP, the volume weighted average price. And this is the other indicator I've added to this chart. And the thicker blue line here is more or less the volume weighted average price of this particular day. And yeah, as long as the market is trading below the VWAP of the day, more or less the sellers are in control. Like you saw yesterday, pre-market, the sellers were in control. The market came back until came back to the VWAP of the day, and around 10:15, 10:20, the market tested more or less the VWAP of this day to the tick, and then you saw another big sell-off to the low of the day. And afterwards, the market traded more or less inside the value area of yesterday, and was more or less neutral at the end of the day. So as long as the VWAP is sharply advancing or declining, like yesterday, the first pullback to the VWAP is quite often an important level to take action for buyers or sellers. Then you can not only use this on the clawback session, so on the electronically traded hours. What I also like to do is to only look at the cash session, which started just 15 minutes ago here at 3:30, and with I don't know if you know the indicator or the filter, which is called discard price data. You can find them in the time exits and filters, and which with this indicator you can quite easily filter out certain time periods. So what I've done here is more or less I filtered out all the data between midnight and 3:30, and also the data which comes after the market closes at 10 o'clock or at 10:15, whatever time you want to choose. And yeah, what we see today, the market has more or less stabilized. The S&P 500 now opens inside yesterday's value area and was declining a bit. We tested after 10 minutes after the cash open, we tested more or less the VWAP from yesterday, and it was first important support level, and we saw already a reaction of around 20 points here in the S&P. Another important level would be the volume point of control from yesterday. Let's do this a bit smaller, then we can also see all the price levels. Most of the volume was transacted yesterday around 5,204. So in case the market should decline again, this would be another important level for today's trading, because statistically the market tests the point of control of the previous sessions quite often. So the value area high, the value area low, and also the point of control of the previous session is very important. And as long as the market is trading inside yesterday's value area, it's more or less quite neutral. As soon as you see a breakout outside of the value area of the previous session, and the market quite often tends to rally in one or the other direction. And the same is also valid for the market profile, for the time opportunities. You also have the point of control. Quite often the point of control of the market profile and the volume profile are more or less on the same level, but it's also valuable information if they are not around the same level. So for example, sometimes you see the case that most of the volume was transacted at a certain price level, but the market profile, so the most of the time the market was trading in another area, and this information can also be used by traders to see if really a movement was strong. So you see you also saw a lot of volume transacted there, or if you only maybe just quickly revisited a certain level and then the market quickly reversed. And the volume profile and also the VWAP can not only be used on a particular day, but what you can also do is to do a top-down analysis, and you start, for example, like shown on this chart, with a volume profile of the whole year, here anchored to the beginning of the year. And I've also added the VWAP of the current year. And then you see that after this decline, which we saw during the recent days in the indices, and especially also here in the mini S&P 500, the market yesterday and also today is testing a quite important price level. So it's testing more or less the fair value, so the VWAP of the current year, which is around 5,225. And you see for the whole year, also most of the volume is transacted here around a bit higher, around 5,245. So this is first very important support level which we are testing now. As long as this level is holding, we can also add the low of it was more or less the May low, which comes in the same spot. So you have a few potential support levels which are all around the same price level here on this higher time frame, and you see we got at least a reaction there. It does not mean that the market now needs to completely reverse and mark a new all-time high, but quite often you see at least a reaction in an area where the VWAP, for example, and volume point of control come, and maybe also a classical support and resistance line or a trend line come together. If we should break this important price level here in the S&P 500, the market could decline further and maybe trade through the whole value area of the current year, down to maybe the round number of 5,000, and a bit lower we also have the low from April this year, and we have the this year's value area. So this is also here on the daily chart a very important support level, which is around 200 points lower. And if you start at just such a high time frame, then maybe you can go down, use the quarterly volume profile and the quarterly VWAP, then maybe go down to the monthly volume profile and VWAP, and then I've also already opened here, for example, the VWAP and also the volume profile of 1 week. And we saw already at the end of last week, the market was sharply declining. And at the beginning of yesterday, we see the market opened outside of the value area of the previous week and was completely crashing more or less. And now it tries to stabilize here above this week's VWAP. We now have more or less a normalized volume profile with a lot of volume transacted in the middle of the profile. So maybe the market will now consolidate around these numbers, around 5,150 and maybe 5,300. As soon as we maybe break out above yesterday's high, the next target on the upper side would be the value area low of last week, and then maybe also as a next target to the upside, the value area, the the VWAP from last week and also the volume point of control of last week. And just to answer quickly a question, the indicator, the volume profile and also the VWAP, they can only be used on futures. So if you trade OTC products like CFD or Forex, you cannot use these indicators because they need a transacted volume, and in OTC markets like CFDs, you don't have these kind of information. What you can do on CFDs, you can use the market profile, and also there is a TWAP, a time-weighted average price. I said already, sometimes they look quite similar, but not always. But this is more or less an approximation, which can also used on CFDs and Forex. But if you want to use the volume profile and also the VWAP, the volume weighted average price, you need indeed to trade an instrument where you have the volume information, which is the case for futures. I can also quickly go to one side to have an overview. So yeah, if you don't yet know, we have with SelfInvest, we have specialized accounts for futures and CFDs, and the account which I'm using now to show you these features is a specialized futures account. Our order router is CQG, and I also have the historical data from CQG enabled to my account, and then I can use all these functionalities and all these features which we recently looked at. Yeah, if you want to trade equities or options, maybe you also want to have a quick look at our commission-free offer, free stocks. If you want to trade seasonalities, seasonal trading strategies, you might also want to look up our managed account service Investui. And if you maybe are also interested not only in US equities, but maybe also in European equities and in equities traded at Euronext Amsterdam, or whatever you want to trade, you maybe want to also check out our generalized multi-market account, which we have with our partner Interactive Brokers. And the volume profile and the also the VWAP can be used on all instruments, no matter if you use the indices like the mini S&P or also the mini Nasdaq, for example. You can also use it on commodities like gold or crude oil, and it quickly gives you an overview if the market is really in a trend, or if the market is more or less in a range-bound market and it's consolidating, for example, in the value area or inside the value area of the previous session. So, for example, here the previous week. And for example, what we saw here in gold this week, last week on Friday, the gold market first was as an all-time high. It came back. We opened inside last week's value area. We tested yesterday more or less the value area high to the tick. We traded through the whole value area. We broke out. Yesterday afternoon, we came back more or less to the VWAP of the current week, and currently we're just testing the value area low of this week at around 2,430, which is also an a potential area of support. As long as we hold it, we might see a reversion to the mean, move maybe up to 2,450. As soon as we break out of this week's value area, we might again get a directional move to the downside. What you can also do if you're trading, if you're perhaps day trading in small time frames, you can also go smaller. You can not only use the the volume profile of a certain day. What I've done here, for example, in the chart of crude oil, I've created a volume profile of the last 30 minutes. So each volume profile represents a 30-minute candle, and there you can also see as long as you have declining point of controls, so the point of control goes lower and lower, you are more or less you have a directional move to the downside. Then we see between 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. This afternoon, the market was more or less stabilizing. We see more or less the point of controls of these 30-minute periods in the same area, and now we get the move to break out to the upside. We tested this area around 72.50, and now we got more or less a directional moves to the upside. So you can also use these volume profiles on very small time frames, like for example 30-minute periods. So I think, yeah, I've more or less shown you the new functionalities added to our volume indicators. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to contact us by email, by phone, or by chat. And like I said before, we are always available from 8 in the morning to 10 p.m. in the evening, and we are also happy to help you out in Dutch. So thanks a lot for your interest, for your time. Don't hesitate to test out these indicators. If you need help to set some parameters, just give us a quick call and we can chat about it. Yeah, good luck with these indicators. Good luck with your trading. Have a nice day and see you soon. Bye bye.